Hey everyone, welcome to the Origami Crane, and in this video I'm going to show you, at least partially, if not all the way, how to create, or at least how to extract clay from your ground, from just straight dirt. So I've been doing this for only a handful of weeks now, and I've managed to develop the technique to be consistent and regular at it. In fact, I can show you one of my bigger batches right here of clay. So without further ado, let's get into it. So one of the first things you need to do is you need to get some clay-rich dirt from the ground. As you can see, it has a very distinct red color. In my case, it's very oxidized, and it's very important to try to get the really dense stuff, because the denser it is, the more clay you're going to be able to extract from it. The less dense and the more sandy it is, the less clay you'll get. Next, after filling your bucket or buckets, you want to fill the rest up with water, top it off, and stir it around with your hands or a device of some kind to get it to a very, very muddy consistency. You want no chunkies, just straight mud. After you've done that, you need to divide that mud into 2 buckets of equal halves, and then fill those buckets up with water. This is to make it in density where the sand wants to fall to the bottom, but the clay is so small it stays and floats inside of the water. So you're dividing the dirt into particle size in this situation. Once you wait about 5-ish minutes, you can pour the top bit of soil out into another bucket. So you need 3 buckets in total, and you can fill up with a little bit more water so that way even more of the sand can disperse, and pump that into the bucket, into your clay bucket, and then discard the remaining sand, because that is no longer needed. This process is going to take a fair bit of time. I'd give it about 30 minutes to an hour if you're new at it, and more 20 minutes to 40 minutes if you're proficient at it. This is that way you can get as much as the clay, much of the sand removed from the clay as possible. You don't want hardly any sand in this clay. So without further ado, let me hit a time lapse for you guys. As you can see in this video, you can see the sand that I've managed to pull out from all this clay. There's still a little bit of clay left in there, but the majority of it is now suspended in the water. Now, you're going to have to let these buckets rest for a solid 4 hours or overnight, so that way all the clay can settle to the bottom and you have a layer of water, just straight water that you can pour off. This removes a lot of complications with weight and volume and time, because you have a lot higher concentration now of clay. Now that all the clay has settled to the bottom, what you need to do is pour off all that excess water. Be very careful not to drop the bucket or to let the clay that you've let settle to the bottom get poured out of the bucket. As you can see, you have very clear water, but then also a very distinct layer where the clay is still very much present. So pour that off, and then check for sand if there's still sand at the bottom. Then pour it out into a separate bucket and remove the sand. And after that, it's time to dry it. Then take a smaller bucket, one that can hold your fabric mesh, and line it with your fabric that you're going to hold your clay in while it dries, and pour in your clay mixture, and then hang it on an object so that way water can drain from it, like this. This should take about 7 to 9 days of drying. Make sure to check on it periodically like this and test how stiff or how little water is left. Try to avoid keeping it in the rain, and in the end you should end up with something like this in the final product. This has been the Origami Crane, and I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys very, very soon. See ya!